we will have a session towards the end of our workshop where Professor Sarika Chauhan from VIT Mumbai is going to talk about what these licenses mean, how we can actually leverage usage of content using these licenses, which is very important in academia because a lot of us believe that anything is permissible under fair use for education, right? So that is true, but in limited sense. So we'll try to understand that limitation and we'll try to understand how we can use it in a more ethical manner. So yeah, we are uh, we are in this age of digital content. That's what the topic is also about. But I wanted to just focus on every word of this sentence, like how we can talk about design of digital learning experiences. So, first word about design is not by chance. So, design is a very thoughtful process. So, it doesn't happen automatically. You have to put some efforts into every step that you are doing it. So, my suggestion to you all is like you can focus on these words and their meanings whenever you are looking at the slides and try to apply that with the content creation methodology that you have been following or you would be probably following in future. So, we are talking about design as a carefully thought process. The next word is digital. I think all of you all are aware about what is digital, but it is not restricted to only online. Okay, so if I am using Google Slides to present something right now which is on some cloud and I uploaded it before I started from IIT Gandhinagar and I come here and I download it here and I am using it, it is also digital, right? So not just online, but it is also offline, it also, like, yeah. And same goes for lectures, right? For example, most of the people connect online education with all the lectures that we gave during the pandemic. Like 9:30 the lecture will start. So that is online education. But there is also digital education which is possible at 3 midnight, right? So that is also digital education. Now, how are we equipped for that? Because we know how to capture the attention of the audience when we are in that same room. Obviously, it is also a tough job, and all of you are kind of already aware of the problem that because we don't have people in front of us and we don't see the nodding heads, then we and the expression in your eyes, I don't really get a feedback about am I reaching out to you, right? Yeah, so which means you have to nod at appropriate places. And you have to nod basically. So so that is very crucial. So with all cameras off and microphones in mute, and even if you have thousands of learners attending your session, you are really groping in dark whether you are reaching out to them, whether they are understanding anything, whatever you are trying to say. So it can be offline. So we need to know that it could be offline also when we create our content. So rather I would say that we should create content with a view not limited to online. It should be as effective as possible even if it is distributed offline, right? So what are we doing for that? That is the next question that I wanted to pose. Ah, okay. He's faster than me. Okay, fine. So we are talking about learning here, right? So what is learning? Learning is not teaching alone, right? It is not only teaching. So have you asked yourself a question? Uh, after the session is over, what I have taught? Or have you asked a question, what have my participants learned? Okay, so that is a complete flipped viewpoint when we talk about learning. So it is not about completing the syllabus, but trying to see if they have learned what they ought to learn, what they should learn, and so my favorite example again comes from food. So it is not a pangat where people are sitting and people are being served, or or a fixed menu thali that you get. It is a buffet where learners will take what they want. So are we having enough hooks in our content where the learners can take what they want? Okay, or is it a fixed thali that will serve, that you have to take this, you have to eat this, whether you like it or not? There will be 4 pieces of cucumber and 3 pieces of carrot, and you can't throw it away. Okay, so you have to eat it some way. So there would be places where they'll pass it on to the nearby person who is sitting and not eat it. Okay, so how are we regulating that? How are we building the design such that it doesn't restrict itself to only what I want to teach, rather than we ask a question next. It's about learners, right? What learners are learning, is this question asked? Now again, like I said, I repeat, keep asking yourself this question for the content that you have created in the past or you are going to create in future, right? So this is a tough challenge. We will come to the solutions part, but I'm just kind of bombarding questions right now, and see if we can get some answers for that. And the final thing is about experience, and that experience is a combination of all these things. It's so when I come here and I go back to IIT Gandhinagar, there will be many things that I'll carry with me. It would be probably the anecdote what Dr. Nadda was telling about how this thing happened. Probably I will remember the floral decorations here. I may remember the taste of the chai. I may remember some things what Honorable Vice Chancellor said. All these things add up to the experience of the learner. So it is not about whether we had an inaugural speech, whether we had a keynote address, whether we had vote of thanks, whether we had, it's the experience that matters. So what are we doing in our content creation to provide that experience to the learner? That is one last sentence of this. So we will go to the next one. So we have to deliver an experience. Okay. Now the moment I say this, it is now slightly going towards a performance now. So lot of friends tell me, like colleagues tell me, Samir, we are not performing artists, we are not actors to deliver something. But frankly speaking, I think we are those, right? So if we plan an experience, like I remember a very interesting anecdote. A brilliant teacher from IIT Bombay, a very senior person. This anecdote is told by my teacher, so it was his teacher. So he said that brilliant teacher of mathematics used to come to the class and deliver wonderful algorithms and derivations, and the board was crowded by all that thing, and there used to be pin drop silence in his class. The entire class used to be just glued to the magic of numbers which was happening on the board, and they were just uh, totally in sync with what the teacher is telling, and it was just going on and on. In the staff room, one of the colleagues of his told him that, sir, you are excellent teacher, maybe you should add some humor to your lectures, right? It is, you just go there, you turn back towards your students, start writing on the board, and only when the bell rings you are out. Till then you don't even look at them. So why don't you add some humor to your lectures? He said, okay. Next day he goes to the class. He says, good morning, today we are going to start with derivation on something. And he said, oh sorry, he remembers something. He comes to the class. He says, okay, once there is a cow with 3 legs. Okay, now I'll start with the derivation. So, so he just goes back and starts with where he left at that point. So the colleague asked, like, what was that? You said add some humor. So I tried to crack a joke. He said, but it is not about just a joke. It has to have relevance. It has to have impact. It has to have some reference to context, and it should be delivered in a manner that it will have that impact. People should laugh, right? And they should laugh in the context, not just for anything. So the point here is that when we want to deliver experience, what are the tools in our hand that we can actually use to deliver this experience. And we are actually going to talk about each and every tool in this gamut of available resources that we have. So I wanted you to tell me the names of the tools that we have. So suppose we are going to create digital content. So all of you are digital content creators for the time being. So what are the tools that you have in hand to create digital content? So each one can say one. Yeah, quiz. OBS. Okay, tool. Okay. Okay, so I have to redefine my words. So tools need not be softwares. Okay, tools could be concepts. Like what are the types of content that you have that will make the delivery of the content a experience. So what all do you have when you want to start a delivery of a digital content, what you are preparing, what are the slides? Okay, yeah, let us try and also minimize our interaction by deleting the names of softwares. So you can only say slides, the meaning is the same. So okay, go ahead. Animation, okay. Videos, okay. With you can put up a hand, so I'll look at you. Graphics, okay. Which one? Polls, okay. So you can conduct online polls. The writing on the board, okay. Discussion forums. Oh, you can use what subject do you teach? Oh, okay, okay, okay. Can you give her a mic? Mic. Yeah.
How the child will go against the law and what are the factors affecting their
Right.
activity.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah. So you need that sentence in your mind. Then only you can play that song, right? So unless you have that, नहीं तो वो प्रोफेसर जैसा हो जाएगा. एक गाय को तीन पाँव थे. So you don't know कि क्यों आ रहा है ये सब, right? So yeah. Anything else? Did I miss out? हाँ. रोल प्ले. Okay. एक माइक वही रख दो. ये लोग पास कर लेंगे. They are very interactive crowd. So okay. हाँ. Role plays.
Role plays. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Mind you, I am talking about digital content creation. Okay. So role play मतलब हमारा जो ऑन स्क्रीन अवतार को चेंज करना है, कुछ ऐसे करना है. लाइक हाउ विल यू डू
कर
दैट?
सकते हैं. आई थिंक
हाँ, ओके, दैट
क्रिएटिविटी
इज
कर
वन
सकते
थिंग.
हैं. या
हम बोल सकते हैं कि सब लोगों का फोटो चेंज करके आप किसी एक कैरेक्टर में आ जाओ. ये आज के क्लास के लिए पॉसिबल, राइट? विच इज नॉट पॉसिबल इन रियल. मतलब रियल में ठीक है, पर लोग इतने मास्क पहन के सामने बैठ जाएंगे तो मुश्किल हो जाएगी पढ़ानी. ठीक है, सो दिस इज पॉसिबल. ओके, नेक्स्ट. Anybody? Keep you just raise the mic. People will ask for it. Anybody wants it? Simulations. Very good. Very good. Simulations. Is somebody writing down all these options? They are for you. Okay. Okay. So we have so many options, right? Yeah. Mic आपके पास ही है. हाँ. नहीं वहाँ है mic. हाँ आप रहे. You can go next. Next slide. So uh, when we talk about MOOCs, so when we know इतना सारा हमारे पास digital content के तरीके हैं, so one place where they all culminate is MOOCs or online courses. Okay, so they are now reality. Like what everyone was talking about, 40% हो गया है, वो बढ़ सकता है. There is digital university coming up. पूरा ही graduation digitally हो सकता है, right? So MOOCs is some reality we cannot be uh, unaware of. Okay. So if you have not heard of MOOCs and you have heard of MOOCs but you don't believe in it, then you are in danger of becoming a redundant person. Okay. But if you have learnt about MOOCs and you are ready to adopt or adapt, then बात आगे बढ़ सकती है. ठीक है. So I hope we are in sync with this as the first takeaway, right? Everyone? Okay. Let's go ahead. So आपने ये जितने सारे तरीके बोले अभी, like all these that you said, these are different from how we learnt in the class, right? We did not have these many things except for maybe board and slides. Probably we did not have many other. We did not have simulations. Maybe we had a lab, but I don't know about you all, but in my school times, the lab was operated only by the lab operator. We were only the spectators. तो हमें दिखाया जाता था कि कैसे एक्सपेरिमेंट होता है एंड बहुत ये लगता था कि खुद करके देखने को, बट वो एसिड होते थे वहाँ पे एंड दे न्यू हाउ वी विल हैंडल इट, सो दे वेर वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट इट. So if you are still in lecturing based on textbook, lecturing with example, lecturing with showing demos, and even if you are in the case of showing lecturing using videos, then still you are in that phase of becoming redundant. So we have to become 21st century teacher because we have 21st century learners in front of us. So how do we change that, right? So this is where we will move to the next one. By the way, you need not click the pictures of the slide. Entire slide set is free of cost, so you can take it down from my website, which I am going to show you. Okay. So here is the activity. We need to stay relevant, that everybody agrees upon. Now let us do, what can you do to stay relevant? Okay, so each one of you should write a point in your notebook, each one of you. You don't have to say it, I don't need a mic, just write a mic. Your mic is on and your phone is ringing. Okay. So so can each one of you write a line about how can we stay relevant? Done? Each one write one. Now you can actually look into your neighbor's notebook and see what they have written. Okay, this is called the pair phase of the activity. We started with the think phase. This is the individual activity. We are now going to the pair phase, where you will talk to the neighbor and figure out what is written in the pairs. You can have a group also of 3 people, doesn't matter, but you have to check each of the neighbors' books. Yeah. Yeah. What we are experiencing right now is a very famous principle from active learning techniques called as think, pair, share. Okay, so this is the second phase of that process, which is called as pair. You also have to combine the idea by mixing. कितने लोगों का ऐसे हुआ है कि you have the same idea written by your neighbor? Nobody? You had same idea? Okay. I will not call it copy because you are sitting apart, but, but great minds think alike is what I can say. Okay, great. So now can you combine the ideas? You have? Now your job starts. Okay, so we all want to hear about it. Yeah, next. Okay, so wait. You can just, so have you combined the ideas now?
Yes, we combined the ideas.
Okay, wait. I have an announcement. Now from here on we are going to play housey now. Okay, so whoever, whoever has Whoever will speak about idea,
Yeah.
if you have written the same idea, you have to cancel it.
Okay.
Okay, and let me know about it. Okay. Huh.
My partner said that you should be very serious about your content and providing live example. Another partner said that adopt the technology and think like audience. You should change your views according to audience. I said you have to be very proactive, a versatile teaching, dynamic teaching, and add more teaching recent add while you're teaching to a student. So we all three have this kind of approaches.
I'm surprised you wrote so much, but good, good for you. But yeah, so how many people had similar things? Yeah, she has raised a hand. So you had a group of three. Ah, yeah, good. Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
She has written that we should use interactive approach, and I had written share videos and discuss with class. So
Okay.
by combining this, we can say it could be more interactive. Once we will share video before the
Okay.
class, then it would be more interactive session.
During
And
the class.
yeah,
Okay.
so that could be a like a
Okay.
new
So
thing.
use videos to attain interactivity. Is that what you summarize? Okay. So when you said about the same thing, they have an example already. So I'll just call it as an extension of your idea. Okay. Anybody else wants to put up? Yeah. So it is easy to see which groups have actually worked. Okay.
Hello all.
Hmm.
Actually, my friend has written that get acquainted with digital tools. So I have written by performing well organized content. So we can combine these two. By well acquainted with digital tools, we can prepare a well organized content. So it
Yes.
become a learner centric.
So organize your content using digital tools.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the combination. Any other group? Who is your partner?
Sir,
Ah,
him.
okay, fine.
So I have written that to stay relevant, one needs to learn new things
Yes.
and continuously like go for training or certifications. And he has written that one needs to meet diverse people, talk to diverse people.
Ah, okay. Good, good. So this you realize like this is one way of talking to diverse people, right? So you could talk to each other. Are you from the same college? No, right? That's the basic point. Okay, great. So it happened. Huh.
Yes, hello all.
Yeah.
Uh, our common point of view is like to stay with relevant. How do you stay
Relevant.
relevant? Latest demand of students or audience
Okay.
and current scenario.
Okay. So yes, still it is around periphery, but let me see if somebody else has on the right wingers.
Hello, hello. Hardik Shah from Gurpat University. I added first thing is it needs to add latest content relevant to the subject,
Okay.
and second is to include attention attracting animations
Okay.
while the video is being delivered.
Okay.
And my partner had added focus onto the subject and point of discussion with examples, appropriate examples.
Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, I did not reinforce the idea of housey, so therefore we are getting some repetitive answers. But anyway, I think we all got the, can you go next probably? Ek minute, there was a slide, I think it got hidden or what. Escape karke, can you show the escape? Next slide, oh, I did not have that, okay. Maybe, yeah, go to full screen. Probably I deleted it myself. So there was some sample answers already from the earlier talk that I thought we'll have there. No, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, so learner centricity is the key. Lot of people emphasize that we need to cater to the requirement of the learners. We need to contextualize our learning. We need to have relevant examples. We need to have relevant technologies. We need to have relevant ideas brought into the thing. But this one is the key sentence here. So what is active learning? And please maybe if you want, you can write down this definition, because this is very important, and we will come back on this definition multiple times in the sessions. The definition is that students should do micro practice, apply their learning, reflect upon what is happening, and collaborate. Okay. So, to achieve all that what you have said, like how to move to digital learning which is engaging, we need to have content which will deliver the following, where the students are not made to merely listen and consume, but they are going to do micro practice. So whatever, so for example, when I am doing something, I am talking to you as a teacher probably, but you are doing micro practice, you are collaborating with each one of you, you are reflecting upon what I wanted you to talk about, or you are applying your learning immediately by writing down. So it has to go beyond mere listening and taking down the notes as it is, they are happening on the slides or the board or whatever it is. So how do we go from this, which is called as passive participation, to active participation in a digital world, is what we are going to look at. Can you go next? So therefore we come at the point of engaging, right? So it's only, yeah, next. So it's not one-way delivery, but it is, yes. So they have to go beyond this part, right? So how do we go there? So this is the model that we created 5 years back, which is called as learner-centric MOOC model, or the short form is LCM model. There is a website about the same thing called as lcm-model.org that you can go and visit, which has entire details about it. But I would just talk about it in a nutshell here. All the scenarios that you all were talking about, namely videos, reading material, the discussion forums, and the activities that you are introducing in the course, all these things are part and parcel of digital content. We talk about how to convert these activities into a active learning technique. Okay, and how do we do that? So you can see the next part of the design patch that has come out of the right hand side of each of the quadrant. It is about converting the monologue videos, like the YouTube video or any video that you record, converting that video to a dialogue. So how do we create a dialogue? The simple solution we have found out is that when your video is running, you just stop the video, you stop speaking, and you show a question on screen with a pause button there, and the learners would be posed with a question about whatever content we have covered so far, and people should be able to answer that. Now the question is that if I am watching a YouTube video at 2 AM midnight, then do you think really people will write down an answer in their notebooks? How many people think that they will do that? No, right? But then once that pause video is existing there on screen, maybe 15 seconds, 25 seconds, what will happen in the mind of the learner? Can they stop their mind from not answering it? No. So that is the point where the monologue gets converted to a dialogue, because the learners, the viewers, are now engaging with the content, they are trying to answer it. Immediately after the pause is over, if it is YouTube, you can actually pause it. Even if it is on a TV, there will be a sufficient pause to frustrate the learner that okay, abhi dikhao answer finally, kya ho raha hai yahan pe. And then when the answer is delivered by the instructor, everyone tries to map to their own answer in their mind, right? So when you all wrote the points, you were not only eager to know what have others written, but you also wanted to know from me whether it was right or wrong, right? And there was no right or wrong answer, by the way, everything was right, but still you wanted it from the horse's mouth, right? Not that I am a horse, but so this is how you always expect that to happen, right? So this is the psychology that we are playing on while designing this content. And so Ajita, who is here, is going to conduct the next session after lunch, where she will teach you stepwise process of converting any video, which is a monologue video, to a dialogue using the technique called as LED. Okay, that is the first thing. Secondly, we also have learning by doing activities. Everybody knows the importance of activities. I don't have to explain that. Only additional thing is that we suggest the activity should have customized constructive feedback. So doing activity and not get, so same thing, if I asked you to do activity and I did not allow you to speak, will it be effective? No. You want feedback on that. Finally जो लिखा है तो कोई तो बोले इसके बारे में सही लिखा है गलत लिखा है, right? So that is the point. So there were curiosity, and all those who were kind of comparing their answers with the answers being spoken also were getting feedback. Like मैंने वही लिखा है करीब करीब, so ठीक है, I think I am in the zone. So this is very important. So we have designed a technique to convert activities to learning by doing constructive, customized feedback giving mechanism. The third thing is that we have the reading or the reference material which is delivered, and you all have been designing courses, delivering courses, you have been student yourself. All of us know कि जो reading material देते हैं course के end में, उसमें से कितना actually पढ़ा जाता है. Do you know how much? How much do you read? How much did you read when you were a student? I will ask the question. How much did you read when you were a student? How much percent? Quite a bit. Okay. Which subject were you learning? Okay. I can understand. Okay, let us ask others. But yeah, it is never interesting enough for reading 100% of the content which is given at the end of the course as a reference material. I will pick and choose based on my liking, right? So we have devised a technique by which you can design the reading material also in various buckets so that people can choose what they want to read. Okay, instead of like making them read everything and not actually delivering according to what you wanted to. So this is the resources, and we have also introduced a small quiz at the end of that reading thing. So you can choose the bucket, but there will be a quiz at the end of every bucket. What we have found out very interestingly is that when we deliver the content in such a manner as additional reference material, we have found out learners coming back to us saying that हमने सारे bucket पढ़ लिए और सारे quiz कर लिए, अभी बताओ आप कौन से mark लेने वाले हो इसमें से. Okay, so from the point where I don't want to read anything extra to I have read everything, that is the transformation that we want to go towards. And why we want to give that material is because we want to talk about, like what you said, जो latest चीजें हो रही है वो course के curriculum में आने को time लगेगा. So can we give that as a reference material? Yes, of course. How to make them read that? So this is one way we tried that. Everyone knows, like if there are marks associated, things will happen for sure, right? So we just played on that psychology. And the final thing is the discussion forum, which is typically very neglected most of the time. How many of you have found a interesting discussion forum on Swayam course? And what was the activity there? Any activity that जिन्होंने course किया है स्वयं का certification? So what was the discussion forum activity there? You have offered a course, right? So how was the discussion forum? Yeah, completely inactive, right? So so inactive in the sense learners are not posing any questions, okay, or instructors are not answering any questions. Yeah, so she was the faculty, by the way. So she was ready to answer. Her problem is that nobody is asking a question. So we devised a way to make that inactive forum into active forum. What is the technique? We say that pose a focus question every week, right? You, like I said, as activity for all of you, that you should write one question for this. So I have already introduced the discussion forum here. Now there will be some questions at least, right? So this is how we have reviewed, and we have got amazing results on the MOOCs that we have created using this model. We have got like thousands of replies to the level that we had to employ discussion forum moderators to control that crowd. So it was that level. So this works. Okay. How to do that? Again, we will explain that on the model website. You can go and have a look at, because we are not going to cover it in this workshop, simply because discussion forum is a post course creation activity. You cannot think of a discussion forum before you record even one lecture. So we are not involving that, right? Go next. Yeah, so we have a couple of examples here which I am not going to touch base upon. Yeah, go next. So the second point is important. Get to know what students have access to. So if students have access to WhatsApp, or WhatsApp is like down market right now, and what is that? Snapchat is the buzz. Then we should know how to operate a Snapchat, how to talk on a Snapchat, how to interact with Snapchat, what are the pros and cons of Snapchat, and only then the students will come, because they are somewhere there and we are shouting here. It won't reach them at all, right? So we should be aware of the pros and cons of everything. By the way, Ajita is a social media expert here. Her PhD topic was about how to use Facebook for education. Okay. So the point is, how do you learn to utilize the new techniques that are coming up? It's a continuous learning process. That sadly I have to admit that, because there is no stoppage there. But it is very important that because we are instructors, we are creators, we can pick and choose things, and we can pick and choose at the levels that we want to. We only want to know it at periphery, fine, we can do that, because it's not a curriculum for us. We have to just figure out, if does my course require this, then we'll go into that. So that's how we have to take a call. And the last thing is contextualize your topic for your students. Unless you contextualize, they don't have a buy-in, because it could be a course taught in Mizoram, giving examples of all Mizo Janta about some financial changes they did in the Mizo government. How will the Kerala student appreciate that? They can't know about it. It's not supposed to, like they will be totally unaware of things. So are we creating content which is so micro to only my students who have learning, or am I open that anybody from Arunachal Pradesh to Rajkot will have the similar takeaway for that? That is one thing that we have to be aware of when we are creating content. So we need to have the pulse of the next generation, and there is no end to it, because generation will keep changing. So we have to be on our toes all the time. Next. So we need to unlearn and relearn. If you want to get to these slides, you can just search for Samir Sahasrabudhe talks. You will get to my website, which is given here, samirs.wordpress.com, and under the tab of talks, you will get all the sessions that I have delivered so far, every place. All the slides are available for free download. You can deliver the same lecture in your college after you go back from here, if you want to sensitize your colleagues by downloading my slides and probably copying the entire transcript of this, because they are recording anyway. So, so you can do that. That's the power of Creative Commons, right? So I would request all of you to do that more often, and maybe just join us in creating some awesome content that we should be proud of, and our learners will be proud of more often. So that is our dream. Thank you very much. So in that notebook, are there questions for Samir? Ha. Yeah, Mike, please.
One of the questions maybe everyone's have in their mind, as nowadays AI is booming in exponential ways, and yesterday itself GPT-4 launched. So how we can utilize it for the teaching? Because that's the question might be everyone has there in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, so this question, are you from computer science? Yeah, correct. So, so you should be the one telling us that, but I will try to answer. By the way, I am a fine arts graduate. You heard two times, right? My introduction. I'm a fine arts graduate. I'm an artist and a painter, and I did my animation filmmaking later on. I was in multimedia, ZTV actually, to be more specific. It's just by stroke of luck that I met some of the most awesome teachers in the country, like Dr. Deepak Phatak or Sridhar Iyer and Sahana Murthy, that I became a researcher of education technology, uh, because it is like I can draw for my film on animation. I have drawn almost 1,17,000 frames, but I had never written even 17 words in my entire life after I passed my 10th examination, because uh, it's another shocker for all of you, because the fine arts doesn't require 12th when I was studying. So I went to fine arts immediately after my 10th. So that's the last time I actually solved a paper. Okay, and from there I directly wrote some research papers. So that transformation was too much. But it is only because of the great teachers, they actually carved out a researcher from an artist. But the point to answer you is, again, because of the acquired knowledge, I just happened to sit into the computer science department of IIT Bombay, which is the most coveted department in the entire country as of now, because the top 50 JEE students select that as the first choice to learn computer science. The same question was asked when slides were introduced. Instead of, yeah, please repeat the question. Okay, the question is, now that we have AI, artificial intelligence, and things like Chat GPT coming up, how are we going to cope up with that when we are going to create content? Because you ask ChatGPT a question, teach me cellular microbiology of rats or whatever, you will get an answer, right? So why do you require professor here? So that is the question. So I think the answer I have for that is in one of the slides. So if we become facilitator instead of a teacher, then we always have a scope. But if we become just the person who will read out exactly the same thing what ChatGPT is going to say, or the book is going to say, or a video is going to say, then we are not required, because they would rather read the book in their free time, at their convenience, lying down on their bed and read it. If you are going to say the same thing that is written in the book, so same thing applies. Moment the contextualization is required, moment the personal connect is required, moment the engagement is required and the experience is required, probably Ekalavyas are all everywhere, and there would be more and more Ekalavyas, which is what we want. But there is no substitute to a teacher. So that will definitely be, but it is in our hands how we make ourselves indispensable. If we go by the beaten track of, so we have seen that, right? We used to have the overhead projector at one time where the book was kept upside down and it was projected, and we had people just read out the same thing. But that time the problem was that there used to be only one copy in the college, which was with the professor, so we had to read that. There was no other choice. But with information available everywhere, we can read it even before the professor reads it. So what is the professor going to say in that lecture depends on how much engaging we are going to be and how much relevant we are going to be. So this is the typical answer for that. I yesterday found out ChatGPT 4.0 is released now, which can allow you to upload images and videos and audios and get data for that. So my younger brother, who is a doctor, uploaded a X-ray of a chest, and ChatGPT diagnosed a 5-page diagnosis report for that X-ray. Okay, and surprisingly, it was almost 85% correct. The problem is that 15% which is incorrect can lead to problems, and therefore we need the real doctor to talk about it, right? So if the person can figure out that this 15% is incorrect, that is where the human brain is required, right? So I think that's how I can look at it. Anybody else has a question?
You talked about having multiple hooks, so so that students can have multiple takeaways. So, as a speaker or as a teacher, you're aware of those as well. So, like,
Yeah.
supposingly there is a case that is being discussed in that scenario, I understand that there are multiple things that people
Yes.
are
Yes.
learning. But
Yes.
other than that, like, how does that work? If you could
Yeah. So
elaborate.
you yourself define the hooks actually. So when you or the definition of that, what is active learning? Can you repeat that from your notebook?
It happens when students do micro practice,
Wait,
apply
wait,
their,
wait, wait, wait.
yeah.
So in your lecture, if you have a chance for learners to do micro practice, that's a hook. Go ahead.
Then they can apply their learning.
Yes. So if they are given a chance to apply their learning, not consume learning. Okay. So where can you apply your learning? That would be the point where the hook is. Okay. Next.
Then they can reflect on it.
Yes. So if you don't get a chance to reflect upon, uh, then it is only going to die with you. You had a question, you have never had a chance to ask that or reflect upon that, and there could be counter arguments also. But that has to be understood by the instructor that he or she is not the only knowledgeable person in this room. So that earlier that we realize this point, I think faster we can go over this problem, right? The moment we are like this layout itself is a problem for me, right? The moment I have this dais slightly up and you sitting here, we already create that. So this is not a dais, this is a bias. So that is a problem, right? So it just creates a wall between us, right? So nobody sits in the front row, right? So we are already losing our connect. How will I connect to the people at the back rows, right? So that's where the problem is. So the moment you start walking around the class, you are talking to people, allowing is also a very wrong word, I feel. If there is a natural hook in the lecture, or even lecture is a bad word, in your session, where the learners will feel the urge to reflect upon something, then I think active learning will happen. Okay, next one.
Collaborate
Yes.
and so on.
So we have a policy: don't talk to each other in the class, right? How will people collaborate, right? So think, pair, share allows that. It's such a wonderful thing to know from each other. There are enough learned people in the room that they can learn from. If we accept this sentence, first of all, we immediately see the results of that, right? I would also request you to, when you come back after lunch, try to sit next to the person who is not sitting next to you right now. Okay, just try that and you'll see a lot of things change, right? It is because we will learn new things only then. If we are sitting with the same colleague that we have been sitting and chatting for over years of time, then how will we learn from each other, right? So that is where things lie. So if you just follow that, all these converts to hooks.
Thank you, sir.